Great to welcome to the show today, man who's written a very inspirational book. It's going to hopefully help a lot of people out there, maybe make a change in their life, change in their career, and the name of the book is called Meaningful Work, A Quest to Do Great Business, Find Your Calling, and Feed Your Soul. We're joined today by Shawn Askinosie. He's the founder of Askinosie Chocolate, and it's kind of the basis of his book. He was a former lawyer and kind of made a change in his life, and he joined us by telephone today from out in Missouri. And Shawn, good to talk with you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I should say welcome, Brother Shawn, right? You're part of your book. You talk about joining a monastery, so that's quite interesting.
Well, yes, and I don't want to mislead. I'm not a monk, but I am a family brother, and so it's part of this program at a nearby Trappist monastery. And I've been going there on and off for retreats for 17 years, and about 4 years ago, I took the step to become more closely associated with the abbey as a family brother. So when I'm there, I live with the monks and follow their schedule, which begins early in the morning. The first prayer service is at 3:30 a.m. And so, yes, but thank you for mentioning that.
And you've done what a lot of people probably either think about doing or hope to do maybe at some part of their life. You were a very successful criminal defense lawyer, and I guess you enjoyed it for a while, but the stress kind of got to you after a while and said there's got to be something better than this, right?
Yes and no. I loved it for almost 20 years. It was absolutely my calling and my vocation at the time, and you sort of know that, I think, when even the mundane tasks are enjoyable and you like them and just everyday stuff. And so I knew that. So it was, I guess, maybe a combination of the stress but more than anything, it was just sort of physically, emotionally, spiritually ready for me to, I was just ready to do something else. And I just didn't know what the something else was going to be. So I loved it. And then I didn't. I could really feel it when I didn't.
And what you did was really made a complete turn away from the law. You've started a chocolate business, which, now, did you always think about doing something like that, or had that idea come to you to go into the chocolate business?
I did not always think about that. As a lawyer, and this may be for many lawyers, I had no hobbies. I had no really other life and my family, and so what I started to do is I started to develop hobbies, and I started grilling on my big green egg, then I started baking, then I started making chocolate desserts, and then one day I was on my way to a funeral of a distant relative just by myself in the car, and the idea came to me, hey, what about making chocolate from scratch? I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea it came from a bean. I didn't have any clue at all. But within 3 months of that, I was in the Amazon, and I was learning how farmers influence the flavor of beans by how they grow the beans, how they harvest them. And then I just came back, and I started to find a way to wind down my law practice, which took a year. And then I bought a building and bought equipment from around the world. And at that time, there were really only 2 or 3 people starting to make bean-to-bar chocolate in America, besides the big people, like Hershey's and Mars and stuff. So it was quite a technical challenge, but yeah, I did that and went from making what I considered to be a ton of money to not that much.
Yeah, that's the biggest fear, I guess. Most people that want to make a change, obviously, if you're making good money, you go into your own business, you may not make it for a while. So that's the biggest thing to let go, isn't it?
I think for some people, for me, it wasn't, and I maybe, and that's sort of, I think, in some cases, an entrepreneurial spirit, where you think, and this is my case, where I think, well, I'm going to jump off this cliff and figure out how to build a parachute on the way down. Yeah. And so I wasn't really thinking about the money. And you raise a great point, because I do encourage people to give that a lot of thought and to have mentors and friends in their life who can help them, if they don't possess the skill set, to kind of look at the financial picture, both personally and from a professional standpoint, because it's really important. That thing that you just mentioned, it's really, really important, because maybe someone has a dream to do this other thing, but if it doesn't make sense financially, then it will come crashing down and could be really, really a problem for that person to lose their life savings or something like that.
Now, what makes your business, Askinosie Chocolate, more unique is, like you said, you went to the Amazon to actually meet the different farmers, and then you kind of do your business almost in a direct one-on-one type of format, right? That's a little unusual in the chocolate business or the food business.
It is. And in this January, I'll be going to the Philippines, and I'll be making my 36th origin trip since I started the business almost 12 years ago. And that's a lot. I mean, gosh, for me to get to where I'm going in the Philippines is almost 50 hours, door to door. So it's quite a thing to get there. But I love it. Even all these years later, I don't mind airports and missed flights, and I enjoy that part of it. But I also enjoy just meeting the farmers, and a part of that comes back to my grandparents were farmers here in Southwest Missouri, and so it really played a big part in my life, how they were and the kind of people they were. So I love meeting with farmers, paying them direct, helping them open bank accounts so we can pay them. We profit share with them. We open our books to them. We translate our financials into their language so they can understand how we calculate their profit share. All of that is a really, really important part of how we do business, and we believe that it ultimately impacts the flavor and quality of our chocolate, our product.
And I know your daughter is Lauren. She's your chief marketing officer. But when you came up with this idea originally, how did your family react? Did they say, "Oh, Dad, don't do it," or were they on board right away?
This is just between us, right?
Yes.
I'm kidding. No,
and a few people
they
in
were
Sarasota.
Not on board. Yeah, right. Well, I love Sarasota. Gosh, I love Florida. But anyway, my family, we used to go on vacation so much. So many great memories of the Gulf Coast of Florida. Anyway, so yeah, no, they were not on board. Not on board. Just being candid, my wife and I this June will be married for 31 years.
Oh, great.
And not to be truthful, no, she was not really on board in the beginning. Of course, now these years later, I mean, she really is, and she predicted that this big change would be a real challenge to our marriage, and truthfully, it was. I have advice for people who have marriages and partnerships that can they withstand this change? So you may be thinking, I want to leave this. I can't do this anymore. It's just impossible for me. But you have to remember there's someone else in the equation as well that needs to be considered, and that is a really big part of it. So I had a lot of talking to do and a lot of convincing and reassuring that it would be okay, and it has been, and it is okay. But thank you for asking that question.
It took a bit of
really
convincing.
Important to remember.
Yeah, it took a bit of convincing.
Yes, it did.
And I know you talk about in the book different steps and things you should do, but in a limited time today, I know the rule of life is kind of the main linchpin of what you talk about. Can you explain that in a minute or so? What people, your rule of life and what people should do?
Yeah. The rule of life that I wrote was as a part of my work and my faith at Assumption Abbey, the Trappist Monastery. And it's loosely based, my rule of life is loosely based on the Rule of Benedict, which is the governing document for all monasteries around the world. Right. But it's essentially how I operate my life on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and how, for me, my faith is at the center point of that, and how I express that then outward into the world, both in the things that I do and how I behave or how I think of my interior life, my life of prayer, for example. But others, as I describe in the book, can find a way to write their own rule of life that may be based on something else, some other center point in their life. And I think that that's a key. It's for me, it's a central point, so I can do all the meaningful work in the world. But if I don't have some anchor and center point in my life, then it will be sort of aimless, I think. And so, yes, but thanks for asking about that. It is a very important part. And ultimately, though, I believe that people can explore these steps that we outline in the book, how they might take our story and make it their story.
Right.
And I really went to great lengths in the book to make this not just this autobiography, the Shawn Askinosie story, but where are the points that people can see themselves? Where do they see application to meaningful work in their own life or in their own company?
Well, it's a great book, not only any time, but particularly as we head into holiday time, reflection time. I think a lot of people are going to be making decisions the new year coming up. And again, it's called Meaningful Work, a quest to do great business, find your calling, and feed your soul. And Shawn Askinosie has been with us, also written with his daughter, Lauren Askinosie. And I didn't mention before, you also, part of your company does school lunches in the Philippines, so that's a great thing you do. I didn't want to mention that.
Yeah, Philippines and Tanzania, we're feeding over 1,000 kids a day right now, and have for 7 years, and it's all sustainable.
Do you have a website, Shawn? People can get more information about the book. You want to direct them to?
You bet. Yes, it's Askinosie.com, ASKINOSIE.com. They can find out about the book there, about our chocolate, or they can go to their favorite bookseller online and order the book.
Great. Shawn, pleasure talking to you. Good luck on your next trip over to the Philippines, and hopefully we can talk to you again. But thanks for being with us.
Oh, yeah. Okay, tell Sarah hello.
I will.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.